Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, where today I decided to share with you something quite intimate, something I haven't really shared on social media. And the topic of this vlog today is food, as you already saw from the description. I would like to share a little bit of the history that I have, my relationship with food, and what I've been going through, some of the thoughts, some of the challenges that I've been recently dealing with, my new way of building my nutrition, my diet. Maybe that will be helpful to you. At least I will share my side of the story, and maybe someone will see themselves in it, maybe someone will learn something. I don't know, but I would like to share it today because it's been quite a big part of my life right now that I'm thinking of and that I'm dealing with. So I will start. So even though I've been educating myself in nutrition for over 15 years now, it's taken on a completely different level. And I'm talking about the amount of spotlight it gets daily in my diet. I always had a good appetite ever since I was a kid. A girl likes to eat, that's for sure. But every day I'm battling with my emotional dependency on food and the tendency to overeat or not, and deal with the healthiness of the meal, as I have a very weak stomach, to be honest. But let's go back to the beginning. Ever since I was a kid, it's been a long journey in general for me. And it's been a lot of ups and downs for me, as you know, sometimes I'm more succeeding, sometimes I'm less succeeding. But let's go back to the childhood a little bit. What I meant is that from the beginning of my early days, basically, I had a good appetite and I was eating, not like a lot, but I like to eat compared to other kids. And then eventually my family had to go through the process of controlling it, so I would eat A, correctly, B, not overeating, and because there was a high risk of it. Luckily my family did a quite good job with it, so it wasn't as bad. But eventually when I was around 11 or 12, it mixed with the wrong medication and it kind of went south. But eventually, at the same time, thanks to my family, we managed with a really strong diet to get back to the good health around 13, 14. And by 16, I managed to lose all that weight that I gained from the wrong medication. However, moving to London when I was 21 got me to the point when I was overexcited about being in a new country, alone, and having a chance and having money basically to eat whatever I want. And that went south again. I ate a lot, and not like I ate a lot. I ate wrong stuff and quite a lot of portions, thinking that I'm not doing anything bad. I was just not aware of that. So if I would eat an ice cream, I would eat a tub of ice cream. If I would eat a main meal, it would be like a whole plate. And of course, by the end of 2019, I was in my maximum weight and I was not happy about it, of course, but that also aligned with a bad emotional state that I was in. Student years was not the most happiest period for me. My personal life was not the best one at that point, so I was stressing out a lot, I was anxious a lot, I was overwhelmed. So of course all of those aspects was kind of laying in the food department basically. So of course in 2020 I decided to turn my life around and I started focusing on my nutrition and my activities, so my sport. Found the PT, started going to the gym, doing a lot of workouts, and I was dancing a lot. So eventually all that sport was kind of motivating me to eat healthier. And yeah, a lot has been going on at that time. I'm not gonna go that too deep into that. After 5 years of doing that, I did get into the good shape that I'm happy with right now. But now that I've closed the chapter with the physical aspect of it, it's taken a completely different route, And now we're dealing with the emotional side of it. Ta-da-da-da. So as much as I've been educating myself in theory about nutrition, in practice, I started to deal with completely different aspect of it that I've kind of like never taken too seriously before. And it's taken such a massive spotlight in my diet, like in my thoughts daily. So I want to share about it. And basically every day I'm battling with the emotional dependency on food, and I tend to overeat or not. And I deal with the healthiness of each meal, as I also have a very weak stomach, and everything I eat, I react to it, unfortunately. And I am quite jealous of some people that has less problem with their digestion, but doesn't matter what I say. I have to be more in charge of my own body, of my own habits, and the way my body reacts to it. So I have no choice but to really focus specifically on that. And as much as I know in theory how to build a nutritional meal, in practice, I keep reminding myself that a lot of other aspects are added to that. So it might be a healthy meal at first, but on top of that, I might overeat, or I might add something that I don't really need, or drink something I don't really need. And then eventually we end up with a guilt, punishment, feeling even more stressed, and etc. The last half a year, I've been really focusing on fixing the roots of my problems. So I started taking a lot of medications that have been like heavily discussed with the doctors, different ones. I even turned to Chinese herb medicine. I started taking it recently. And it's kind of like slowly working, little bit by little, but it wouldn't be such a massive program if I didn't change my diet. And what I mean by changing my diet is that focusing more on portions. As I said, in theory, I know quite a lot how to build a plate, like eating more salads, eating more protein, natural fats, less saturated fats. However, portion is what makes it extremely important, and overall amount of food that you have. And on top of that, amount of sugar that we eat daily. I decided to cut as much as I can of the artificial sugar and turn more to the natural sources of it, and to cut off the alcohol, which is a bit hard for me, because basically if someone told me this a year ago, I would have said like, no, I don't know that person. But over the last 6 months, somehow I didn't feel the need to drink as much as anymore. And even when I'm tired, I actually am quite happy turning to a tea rather than an alcohol. And I'm still shocked till this day that I'm actually saying that out loud, that I'm doing it, but that's exactly how I feel. And I do think that it's taken some real positive changes. At least that's how I think about it. And then eventually all this cleansing program that I'm doing, it just adds on, makes it more efficient compared to like, what's the point of like cleaning your body if you're constantly fueling it with the wrong stuff at the end of the day? So you need to, all this like extra vitamins or medication is great, but if you're not going to start from your diet, nothing is going to change. And I don't know, replacing the normal cow milk to the oat milk, it's not going to just do that job. You need to change a lot of things. However, that's what I did too. I changed into the lactose-free milk. As I said, as much as I know in theory how to build a proper nutritional plate with everything that I need, at the end of the day, the portion really makes sense, and what I eat in between those main meals. A lot of the times when I finish the meal and then some time pass by, maybe like half an hour, 2 hours, give or take, I notice that I want to eat something else. And then eventually I started like learning to ask myself these questions before I do something. Like I'm talking to myself in my head, I'm having a conversation in my head. What is happening with me now? How am I feeling that I'm leaning towards these cravings? Why do I want specifically this product? Or in generally, why am I thinking about food at this specific moment? For example, yesterday when I was working at home, I was kind of getting bored from it, from sitting in one place and doing the same thing, and most importantly, thinking about the project that I'm working on. Eventually, I just wanted to take a break. And by break, I thought that let me eat something so I can take a break. But my body was like, you're not hungry. So why do you want to eat something if you're not hungry? And I'm like, but I just want to switch. I just want to switch from what I'm doing right now so that I'm not thinking about it anymore. At the end of the day, what do? Luckily, yesterday I managed to control it, but some other days I'm not that lucky. And I can hear it, my thoughts, but my brain deliberately refuses to admit it. And the next thing I see is that my body has already got up and is already walking towards the kitchen to get something that I potentially think that I want. And where it leads is that I eat it, and then I realize that I didn't need it eventually. Like, I didn't need it after all. I was quite full, and then eventually on top of that, I feel even more full, unnecessary kind of like full. And there comes the guilt. Why did I do that? Why did I listen to myself? All that kind of stuff. So here comes the process of the conversation that I have in my head, that every time I'm dealing with something like this, I need to remind myself that A, you're not actually hungry, you're feeling something. And that feeling could be like, I'm bored, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, whatever, any kind of feelings you might be feeling at that time, but not hungry. Maybe in someone else's cases, they would digest food fast enough and they would not even feel anything that it went wrong. But in my case, I react immediately, which means I have to be even extra careful, like what I eat, what I put on my plate, when do I eat it. So of course, it's very important for me to start analyzing my own body, my own digestive system, because it transforms every year due to the age, due to some aspects of it. The world is evolving, the water is not as clean as it used to be, the food is not as high quality as it used to be, and I need to work with that. Some things get more trendy, some things get more popular, some kind of like meals diet, whatever. My metabolism is also not doing any better with age, of course. And then also some unresolved problems that are just piling up in my body that needs to be solved like as soon as possible. And let me tell you what I realized, that life is freaking unfair. I've been so upset and angry when I'm looking at other people's bodies and their diet and their habits, and they're just eating whatever and they get away with it. And me trying to be as healthy as possible and still feeling discomfort after slightly different than simple plain basic food. That is just unfair. But it's my own unfairness, and I'm the one that has to deal with it. I can't put it on other people. I need to think of my own body, the way it works, and not place the responsibility on other people and feeling jealous that their body works the way it works. Everyone is different. However, it led me to the question, what do I do with that feeling and thought? Do I just let it be there? Do I just start sulking on it? No. Can it take control over me? Or maybe just take an action of simply discovering my body, or maybe take an action of simply discovering what my body is like, my own unique organism, and find out what works specifically for me. What makes it feel better? Not chasing after some random visual aspect of it, or expecting it to work in the same way other people's bodies work. No. What does healthy mean to me? What is my comfort? It's a constant work in progress where every day I face some win-ins, like successfully managed not to drink red wine just because I felt tired, angry, or overwhelmed. And then eventually I just decided to dance and listen to my favorite music. Choices. Choices! Awesome losses. For example, eating extra snack after a full meal just because I felt like I still want something extra and then immediately regretted, as apparently it was a false alarm. In total, I'm quite glad I became more mindful about it, even though it's been even more stressful for me simply because I was way numb to this whole topic before and started to discovering it right now. It's a hard job, not gonna lie. I wanted to share it in case others are going through the same process, as it's really important knowing that you're not the only person who does or thinks such stuff. Mistakes and lessons is what makes us humans, and we should be more easy on ourselves, not blaming ourselves, but taking the lessons, analyzing, realizing, and be grateful for all the knowledge you are getting every day. Take the lesson out of it and change.